Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. I'd like to thank my sponsors real fast. That'd be FightBackCBD, Gold BJJ, Fuji Mats. Thank you so much for being awesome. And last but not least, MMA Pack. It's been awesome having all of you guys as a sponsor. Thank you for helping me pay my bills because without you, I would be homeless. Today I have really, he needs no introduction, to be honest. He's probably one of the best striking coaches in the history of ever. Duke Roufus. What is up, my friend?
How you doing? Good to be on the show today.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. I know you got a busy day, so we'll just dive right into it. So usually how I like to get started is I think it's fascinating how people get into the martial arts. And what we were just talking about off the air was pretty interesting. You were talking about, your older brother had been in the martial arts before you. What got you into it?
My father started our martial arts school in 1973. I started training in 1974 when I was 4 years old, and the rest is history. My dad had a great passion for martial arts. He used to play semi-pro football, and he was a pretty competitive softball league. And he discovered martial arts as something that he wanted to do in the off season, and his hobby became his avocation and his life work. So pretty cool. And then at the time, in 1975, I had the pleasure of seeing Benny the Jet Urquidez fight in Milwaukee when I was a child. And
Legend.
I think my brothers and I, we knew this is what we wanted to do since we were little children, become kickboxers. Even though we did sport karate, it was cool. My dad grew up in a taekwondo background. Then as we got into open martial arts, we got into Tracy's Kempo, which connected us with the great Joe Louis. And then eventually my dad got his fifth degree black belt from the great Jun Rhee. If those names are a little old for everyone, Jun Rhee's the guy who created all the safety equipment. He was the first one to make the boots, the gloves that changed sport karate.
Yeah, he also was like he's given the name as the founder of Taekwondo in the United States as well.
Absolutely. And then as well, he and Bruce Lee hooked up. Him and Bruce really worked the sidekick together. And ironically, Joe Louis, he trained a lot with Bruce in those days too. So, and then Joe Louis was a genius. I still use a lot of his footwork concepts and things that our family learned from him. He passed away. I had the pleasure of being on on one of the last season of Texas Walker Ranger with Chuck Norris. I was on there with Joe Louis, Bill Superfoot Wallace, my deceased friend Alex Gong, John the Dragon Wilson, another deceased legend Howard Jackson. My friend Kung Lee was on the show, but yeah, martial arts has been awesome to me. So it saved me when I was 15 years old. How I really, really got into fighting is unfortunately I found my sister dead when I came home from school when I was 15 after football practice. It was a really tough experience. And that next year, my brother, I was in a bad place, really lost, really felt bad about what happened. And my brother won his first world title at age 20. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And fighting healed me, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that itself is pretty incredible. There is probably one of the moments that kind of helped change martial arts and the dynamic of striking was from your family. There was a very famous video out of I think it was your brother. I think it was Rick Roufus, and I think he was in a kickboxing match, and it looked like the rules were tie. And of course, him and the other gentleman were kickboxing, and it looked like his legs were just getting chopped down over and over again. I think he dropped the guy in the first round. Guy back up, and I guess after that, the gentleman had to be carried out of the ring with a stretcher because of the leg kicks, right?
Well, people don't understand. Everyone in life, there's narratives and there's truth. My brother and I have really never talked about the truth of what went down that weekend. Couple things. We were kind of exposed when we went out there. We kind of got the wool pulled over our eyes, and I'll explain. Um, it was a great experience because look at me now. I went and mastered Muay Thai, but it just goes to show you how devious and deceptive the fight business is. I'm dealing with it right now on the regular all the time. I get lied to constantly by fight promoters and promotions. But, so my brother was supposed to be doing an exhibition at that fight. That's why I was there with him, not my dad, the coach, actually. We're under the, thoughts that he was going to do an exhibition. So unfortunately, my brother was expecting his first child, his daughter, and he was in financial straits for, hey, he's got to fight. So we were informed that in Nevada, there is no such thing as an exhibition. You either fight for money or you don't have a fight at all and you don't get paid. So my brother willingly jumped in there, not knowing a darn thing about what to do at that point for Muay Thai and kickboxing. And I always respect him for that. Even the Thai guys came up, and I fought actually with the Thai gentleman on a show in K1. He said he's the toughest guy that he's ever fought, because what happened is my brother broke his jaw in the first round. If you do go back and watch a video, he's now a friend of mine, but he's a smart guy. Seiksan Janjira spilled his bucket of ice in between the first and second round so that the guy could recover. That is a crafty ring, a cornerman trick. But
Yeah.
Needless to say, that was the epiphany in my life, because to me, my brother is one of the best ever to lace up the gloves. One of the toughest dudes I know. And I'm not saying that just because my brother. I mean, I've had 4-time Thai champion Kong Napa live with me, one of the top 25 fighters of all time. My brother is managed by Ray Leonard. I've been around great legendary fighters, and my brother was special. So in my head, I said to myself, wow, if that can be done to my brother, I got to learn that. So my attitude always is if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him, and then I'm going to beat him. So then, I became obsessive with Muay Thai. I became obsessive with the low kick, where I actually broke 2 gentlemen's legs in fights. I broke Mitchell Holla's leg in Australia, and I broke Pat Smith. Rest in peace, Pat Smith from K1 and UFC. I broke his leg.
Old school legend, yeah.
Yeah, and I've never been hurt or stopped with him. I vowed, you're not going to carry me out of the ring on a stretcher ever from low kicks. So it became an obsession, and then awesomely too, it got me really into Thai culture. Got to go to Thailand, train, got to have Thais live with me, and just an incredible life experience for me, life changing. Because what you got to do is don't be bitter, be better. You got to take when you have a failure, and there's a reason why you failed. You have a shortcoming, and you got to use it as a stumbling block and turn it into a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, because if you think about it, like that moment obviously took a different direction for your family, yourself, and also the fight game in general. I mean, mixing something as dynamic as sport karate, especially with the legends that you grew up with, right? Like Bill Wallace and Joe Louis, these incredible Benny the Jet, all these incredible kickboxers. And I mean, still to this day, I look up to most of those guys. I mean, Joe Louis, of course, has since passed away, but Bill Wallace is still out and kicking. Benny the Jet is still out there as well. So they're out there, at least for conversations and being able to pick up tips and stuff. I mean, I went to a seminar with Bill Wallace, and he could still kick me in the head in his 60s. So I was like,
Bill's amazing. He's an amazing martial artist and man. What I like to do is take value from it. I'm not well, they don't do this. I take something from everything. Like, that's why I love MMA, actually, is it's just not Muay Thai. It's just not Dutch kickboxing. Sometimes I use old school martial arts techniques. I wrestled a bit in high school. I did judo when I was younger. So a lot of these techniques, the older I get, are becoming full circle for me. I mean, that's why I was able to coach against a great fighter like Wonderboy Thompson. I understand what's going on in his head, and most people don't. They scoff at his style, and they don't know how to beat it. And I was able to assist Tyron Woodley and Anthony Pettis beat a great fighter. I'm a big fan of Wonderboy. That being said, I'm a fan of a lot of the guys I coach against, but knowing I'm still there to win.
Yeah, of course. And I like Stephen Thompson. We chit chat all the time, but it's a business, and it's also somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. So no matter how much respect you have for him, that just puts a lot more into the training, and it shows with the Pettis brothers. It shows with everyone you've coached. And what I found fascinating is a lot of gyms, when you look at their fighters, you tend to see almost like cookie cutter styles, to be honest. Like, you see a couple guys from the same gym, you can kind of spot, okay, well, here's going to be the game plan. For instance, like an alpha male, it's going to be a wrestling heavy fight. You understand what their game plan is going to be. You tend, from what I can tell, you seem to bring out what the fighter is capable of, not necessarily what you're trying to shove down their throat. So what would you say is your coaching style when you're going to teach somebody or you're going to coach someone?
Well, the one thing I have is being a high level fighter, so I know what needs to be done as an athlete. I mean, there's nothing worse than, you break people's confidence when you make them get good at things later in their career that they're not good at. You get a fighter over 26, it's so different coaching them as opposed to molding a fighter 18 to 25. Completely different. I know that because I fought from age 18 and when I graduated in high school all the way to 38. And the longer you are in your career, you get extremely good at what you're good at, if that makes sense. And then
Mhm.
when you're younger, your molding years, especially 18 to 25, you have the luxury, the ability to overtrain. But once you get over 26, it's a different body, it's a different feel. Like Tyron Woodley, if it isn't broken, why fix it? So a lot of the things, they just enhance what he does very well. It's Paul Felder. He's very aggressive. I just help him be better, technically aggressive. Macy Barber, she had a great performance this weekend. I encourage her to stay Macy, and I just give some tips to her. The worst thing you can do is take away someone's confidence at what they already do better. And again, we want to get better at new things. We are, because Tyron, he threw a great middle kick, Thai style middle kick on Darren Till in the Darren Till fight, and Till's eyes are like, "Whoa, what was that?" And it was like, 1,000 reps or 10,000 reps turned into one successful kick. I was very proud of. But that being said, that's something I do. I coach each athlete differently. That's why I have so much success with Sergio and Anthony. I have two different relationships with them. They're my dear friends, but they're both are different to me in so many ways.
Yeah, you were talking to me earlier, and I thought this was fascinating because I was telling you about a documentary that I'm working on about big martial arts and where it comes from, and trying to debunk and try to help some people. And you said that you're going to be working on a documentary as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I have my online training resource. It's called the Duke Roufus Striking University, and I teach online striking. And it's going to be rebranded this year to the Rufus Sport MMA University. And I'm going to be sharing every type of curriculum from traditional martial arts, Muay Thai, Dutch kickboxing, MMA striking, etc., to wrestling, grappling. Just a cool thing. So I'm a filming junkie. So, I got this idea because I've trained Sergio since he's like 13 or 14, probably 13. And I've got so much footage of him. I've got, his young fights, kickboxing. He fought a man in MMA when he was 15 years old. So I have the whole progression of Sergio. And, then you have my brother and Anthony, who they're so much alike, high flying, really just, you know, prolific characters. And then you have myself and Sergio, and we got to navigate the waters between our star brothers and how we've been do that just with my experience, So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a film junkie. What I do in my spare time, I love films, documentaries. I'm still really good friends with Andrew Jenks from the World of Jenks when Anthony did the special. I have a few acting buddies. If you follow Instagram, you'll see me and Mickey Rourke interact a lot. I'm really into film. That's like my if I weren't into fighting, I wish I could have gone to film school, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I one thing that I've been really enjoying lately is the storyboarding and the filming of like the documentary. And maybe whenever we get into the meat and potatoes of filming past January, we'll try to set up something where we come out there and speak to you about legitimate martial arts in your career and stuff like that. I just think that that's fascinating. I think that is a very interesting dynamic. I've been thinking a lot lately, probably because I've been watching a lot of Breaking Bad. I'm trying to catch up, man. I haven't watched it all, so I'm trying to watch the movie Netflix just came out with. But in Breaking Bad, they talk a lot about like almost like destiny, like kismet, like things are supposed to be the way that they're supposed to be. Nothing's coincidence, right? Do you think anything like that? Do you think that that's on accident, or do you think that's purposeful? Whenever you like look at the dynamic between Anthony and Sergio and yourself and your brother.
I think it's by destiny, honestly. It really is because one of the other things I help Anthony navigate is their dad was killed when he was 16 years old,
Hmm.
and like me, I had to take this angst, the hurt, You know, I mean, I had a lot of mixed feelings about how I felt, you know, growing up Catholic. I think I was guilty. I thought I did something bad when I was young. But that being said, I was able to help Anthony use that tragedy and use it as a fire to be successful. Because you know what's weird about Anthony Pettis? A lot of people don't realize this. Why I have such a neat dynamic with him, and you'll appreciate this because you know, he grew up in ATA Taekwondo. He was a master of Taekwondo when he came to my school. He did not join my gym to be a fighter. He wanted to advance his martial arts training. So I saw him, he's sparring with these really good guys. He moved up. He started in beginner class. That's what a respectful young man he was, you know, 18 years old. He just wanted to be better at martial arts. And then I saw him. He came to jiu-jitsu and kickboxing 6 days a week. That's why I'm so close with the guys. He was a fixture at the gym. He was there like the lights on, you know, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. But I said to him, you know what, kid, I think you could be successful at fighting, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And that kind of leads me to another question. I've always been very fascinated because, at this point you are the master there. You're the head instructor, you're the guy, the go-to guy, when it comes to striking. And I think that you've been able to be a mentor. What do you think is the most important job of a martial arts instructor? Like, because at one time you're a student, then eventually it blends into you are now the person in charge. You carry the torch. What do you think the most important job is for somebody who's the instructor or head instructor or coach?
Well, I'm going to give especially someone who's had a fight background, I'm going to give you the most valuable advice. Don't worry about your fight career anymore because, don't, like me, I was obsessive, unhealthily obsessive to the point where my hands are so messed up. I got holes in my shins. I wanted it so bad. Like my really good friend, and he's a mentor of mine, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah. Actually,
He's come and speak at Rufus Sport. He calls the guys FaceTime in the locker room for me when I need some special mojo for fights. And he has that saying, you want to be successful, how bad do you want it? You got to want it as much as you want to breathe. And that was me. But know what? That isn't everyone's mojo. So what I've learned recently, and I've been so successful, but even more being successful, is I've created better relationships with the fighters I work with, and I'm happier, they're happier. I'm learning to back off, actually. And I think in today's dynamic, MMA is it's your own journey. Like you got to figure it all out on your own. The greats are organic. They want it. If I got to tell you, you got to kickbox, I gotta tell you, you gotta do jiu-jitsu, you gotta wrestle, you gotta do strength and conditioning, you gotta practice MMA a lot. You're not gonna be great, you know. The greats are gonna find a way, and I like mentoring them more than babysitting them. You know, it's just that's one. And I have new ways I speak to guys, you know, because at times I have a lot of accomplishments, so I can either be intimidating or I can be put on a pedestal. So the way I come at someone, if things don't go well, they either disappointed me or they're intimidated. So I've really figured out verbal judo with my team. I have different ways to speak to the guys, and know where I learned it from. My daughter goes to Montessori school. My beautiful little daughter, 7 years old, and just the way their outlook on education, Maria Montessori's inspiration. I have happy students, I have happy experiences, and I've never been happier as a coach. And it's just weird once you figure out that dynamic.
have you ever heard of a man named Ron Clark?
What's his background?
So he was nominated twice for the Teacher of the Year for the United States, like not just statewide, but countrywide. And he actually opened up a non-for-profit in Atlanta where he only takes in troubled teens, troubled kids who are having a hard time. He's got a documentary about it, but I'm a student of the game. I love learning as much as I can, especially when it comes to how to approach teaching, how to understand how to communicate better with the people, whether they be students or whether it be a seminar, whether it be just chit-chatting in general. And the man is a genius when it comes to teaching people. And I figured if it's something that you're really into, I mean, you might get a kick out of looking him up because
I am because that's what I study these days, ways to get better at my craft. I study the techniques, but as well, similar but different. One of my coaching mentors, I don't know him personally. He's younger than me, but I think he's a genius. Is Cale Sanderson. He's
Mm.
the coach of Penn State wrestling. He's the only undefeated Division I wrestler ever. He's the guy that beat Daniel Cormier in the NCAA. He's a god. But the way he runs his team and his demeanor, because everyone looks up to him. I'm not putting myself on the level of Kale. I was good, but I wasn't in the elite pool. My brother, I think, was in the elite pool. I was just outside the elite pool of fighters. I'll always be very transparent about. So I'm not comparing myself to Kale, but he's one of the way he mentors and speaks to his athletes. There's such a healthy culture at Penn State, and he's an inspiration to his guys, and that's what I'm trying to do: inspire my people to do better, not iron fisted. It just doesn't work,
Yeah.
and that's if you do follow wrestling, I think that's why the demise of some of the other Big Ten programs. Wisconsin, we just got a new coach, and Coach DeBono. He's an awesome motivator, and the culture at Wisconsin wrestling has changed exponentially because he's a great motivator, positive guy. Where we used to have a guy who was originally from the Iowa wrestling culture, where they believe in just smash mouth tough. We're going to be the toughest. We're going to be the toughest. And for me, that's not what it's about. Everyone's tough. If
Mhm.
you come to practice every day, you're tough. You got to be wiser. You got to have more game. You got to have more Tom Brady in your life. Who cares if you got a dad bod? Can you make the plays? I mean, and that's it.
Yeah.
We getting these kids to focus on, at the end of the day, it's great to have genetics, athleticism, but how good is your all around martial arts game and character? That's what wins championships. That's what creates highlight reels.
Yeah, definitely. That's really well spoken. I always compare going to classes with a good coach like watching a good movie or watching a shitty movie with a bad coach. If you go to a program or you go to a movie theater and you're watching a crappy movie, like you get 15 minutes into it, you're like, this is garbage. Do I want to spend the next 2 hours of my life sitting here watching the rest of this garbage, or do I get up and leave, get my money back, and go watch something I want to watch? And I think that's how a lot of people treat training. Do I go because I enjoy it, because I love it, because I have a passion for it? Am I inspired to continue to go? Or do I want to leave because this is a crappy movie? Is the coach not doing their job to motivate me, inspire me, and make me love it? Or, am I doing my part to provide back? Am I helping other people? Am I making sure that the people who are under me are getting a good education? It's a beautiful thing when you have a great community because of a good coach. I think
Well,
that's something you provided really well.
well, I mean, we're talking about my coaching accolades, but I want to talk about my teaching accolades. We have over 500 students at Roufus Sport, and we have over 30 affiliate schools because luckily my father, he had 5 schools at one time when I was a youngster. He taught me how to create great curriculum and create fun classes that keep the average Joes and Marys in class. And that's what I'm proud of. We have an incredible community at Roufus Sport of just hobbyists who love training, but they're side by side with all of our UFC, Bellator, PFL, 1FC, legends, and it's such a cool culture. But when it comes to teaching, especially, I've been in the adult market long before people were in that, and in the adult market, less is more. We have 55-minute classes. People are busy. They got to make money, feed their families. They got their goals. So we treat every class like it's a movie or performance. That's why I'm bringing this up to you. Like I teach my teachers personally that it's a performance every day. You want to put on a great show for your students. They want some pizzazz because the reason why they train is, maybe their wife bitches them, their girlfriend, their husband, their wife, their boss is riding their ass, something. They got bills to pay, college loans. You know what they want to do for that 55 minutes? Have an incredible experience. So the martial arts school is more like a restaurant than it is a health club.
Yeah.
So me, I'm the restaurateur. Even though I might be in the cage doing pads, everyone who walks in, hi, how you doing? I know everyone's name, face, hello. But to the start of the experience is friendly, all the way down to incredible classes where we care about our customers and teaching. And then we have a great kids MMA program. I do the opposite of traditional martial arts. The kids are bottled up all day at school. So we let them express themselves and have a lot more fun. The other thing, by not making them just stand in basic training military lines, I teach the kids to be more of a leader, to wear your own colored uniform, but work hard and follow the principles of martial arts. I'm trying to create a bunch of leaders, not a follower who mindlessly answer yes or no, sir, to their teacher because all the other kids did. So I use that Montessori system with the kids as well. And our school's growing exponentially right now, and we're having fun. So that's the magic of Roufus Sport. We have this fight team, which we don't even have a big team. We just have most of our pro fighters are in the big show. And then we have our great culture where we we call it MMA for everyone.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that's a fairly difficult thing that a lot of MMA gyms kind of fail at, is understanding that, yes, you do have fighters, but yes, you do have your 9-to-5ers who are just there because they want to take 1 or 2 classes a week. They want to enjoy it. It's a release for them. And I've seen a lot of gyms fail because they put so much emphasis on their fighters that they forget about their 9-to-5 students, the guys who were doing regular jobs. It's not their career. And it's sad because a lot of good coaches or people who are great at teaching people the martial arts side of things aren't very good at understanding the business side of things. And when you can mix those two things together, you create something that'll be a legacy, that'll last, that'll actually help more people than just the 3 fighters, 5 fighters that a gym may have. And I think that being able to spread that message to the 9-to-5ers to let them know, like, some people want to be champions and some people want to be champions from 7 to 8 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays, you know?
For sure. That's it. I mean, that's people always think Roufus Sport as a martial arts school does so well because we have fighters. That's not a fact. The reason why Roufus Sport does well is my dad had Roufus Karate first in Milwaukee. It's a household name. Like, we were on ESPN. My dad used to promote fights on ESPN, but every one of our accolades that we won tournaments, we'd be in the paper locally, we'd be in the local news, because in Wisconsin, we love sports. We love winners. You know, that's why the Green Bay Packers and the Wisconsin Badgers have obsessive fans. But, you know, we created a great culture of great martial arts service since 1973. The cherry on top is having a great fight team. You know, that's my passionate hobby. What I do for a living is martial arts, you know, if that makes sense. Now I have the luxury of being a full-time coach finally, but I still have a passion. In fact, I'm proud if I get out of this interview early, I'm gonna do some jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna throw my kimono on. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. That's where I get to not be the boss. And we have a third degree black belt from Brazil who lived with Carlson Gracie Jr. and Sr. He runs our classes and he coaches our fight team. You know, here's a cool thing. Yesterday, it's on Instagram. Anthony and Sergio, they put their kimonos on. They go to class with the normal people. That's what I love about my fighters. They're still martial artists. They're still trying to perfect other things, and that's what keeps it fun. You know, gi jiu-jitsu is a huge component here at our gym. Not because you wear a gi in the octagon or the Bellator ring. It's a fun thing to do in between fights that keeps you training. Because one of the biggest bad habits fighters have is they stop training in between fights. But putting that kimono on, it's very playful. You know, it's Henner Gracie and his brother Hirion keep it. Those guys are really nice. In fact, Hirion was in town a few months ago, and he stopped by my gym just to say hi. He was doing a seminar. You know, he didn't have to do that. We're not part of that side of the Gracie family. It just speaks volumes of how many great people are in martial arts. You know, that being said, they have it down to a science. Keep it playful, and that's what I try and do with our fighters. Believe it or not, you know, this becomes a job for all of us. So we've got to take the job out of the equation, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Keep it fun. People will enjoy it. They'll continue to train and they'll pass it down because they love it so much. You know, they want to spread that love. I think that's great. Now, I know that you are short on time today, so I do just have one more question to wrap it up.
Sure.
Before I ask that question, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. It has been awesome being able to speak to you. I definitely admire your work. I think it's incredible what you've done as a coach, and I think it's incredible that you carry that name and your legacy continues to move forward. I think that is awesome. So thank you for what you've done for the martial arts community. Now, the last question that I have anyway is I always ask this question of everybody. I love stories from the dojo, things that happen, whether they be funny or tense or weird, but they only really happen inside the dojo, and it only really happens like when you're there. Like most people wouldn't probably know about it just because it's not televised. It's just something that happens that's maybe an intimate moment. Like I've had people tell me jokes or things people tried to randomly fight them, or like moments that they had with like a student that meant a lot, but it happened on the dojo floor. So I was really curious if you had one of those off the top of your head.
Yes, I do. Because whether it's a good situation, a bad situation, I always try and learn from it. I mean, I don't fight the progress. So, see what my nose does? That
Yeah.
folds one way. So you'd say, yeah, I had a 20-year fight career, and everyone's like, your nose is effed up from fighting. No, it's not. I won't say the gentleman's name, but I used to have a guy who ran our jiu-jitsu program, and this changed the way I do martial arts and the way I treat people by the bad thing that happened to me. So they had what I call the blue belt jiu-jitsu test. So what did they do? Made them do a bunch of burpees, all this other crazy stuff that the guys who were giving the test couldn't even do themselves. So then they have to do all these techniques, and then everyone's rolling hard, going hard at these kids. So I had a guy who was so worried about not earning his blue belt in jiu-jitsu, he went to pass my guard and he smashed me with his knee, and my nose is so messed up from that. I actually have arrhythmia in my heart, and I've had just got a sleep study, so I've got to go get my nose fixed finally because it's affected my heart and surgery. So what did I learn from that? Testing in martial arts is stupid. It's it is, because what you do is you create this energy with people. Like, again, we're talking about, let's be empathetic to people's lives. At home, you got the pressure, if you're married, taking care of your family, making sure, you got the bills paid, you got money saved. At your work, you got the pressure of performing at your job. You've got the pressure of, maybe you do another hobby and you want to do that, or just life pressure. You got bills to pay, college loans. The dojo, it should be our sanctuary, not our hazing. So in our jiu-jitsu program, especially when I had Daniel come over, we got the coolest, most relaxed vibe. We don't do belt whipping, we don't do testing. One of the coolest things when I got my purple belt was I didn't know I was getting my purple belt. My professor, Daniel, gave it. It was one of the coolest experiences of my martial arts career because it was so random. And
Mm.
that's the way we do promotions. I have a kickboxing system, the lineage based on Roufus kickboxing. We have a belt system, and that's how we promote people. I love the old school because that's how it used to be in jiu-jitsu. You would randomly get your belt, and I love the look on the faces of my students at Rufus Sport when they get that random belt. I've even seen Daniel rolling with the students, and he'll tie their belt on while he's rolling. That's what a ninja is. And to me, that's what this martial arts thing is. Are we empowering them, or are we, making them feel like crap? To me, those blue belts that day felt like crap, you know,
Mm.
because guess what? The guy who did that to me, and I don't hold a grudge against him. I hold a grudge against the system, the format. It's stupid. The guy quit after he earned his blue belt. Do you know how many people in that platform of jiu-jitsu quit after they get their blue belt? A
The
lot.
majority. The majority.
Because they make it so hard to do a test, a hazing. It's hazing. And the whole idea of martial arts is we're trying to empower and help people. Like, that's what I love about our academy.
Mm.
I grew up with, I went to high school with a bunch of Croatian and Serbian kids. And what happened, the war broke out and they were divisive for a while. And it was sad to see. One of my favorite things about Rufus Sport, I have Hasidic Jews training with Muslims. I have Croatians with Serbians. I have every type, race, creed, color on the mat. We got the one love mat vibe. I love it. It's so awesome. I have so many different students, and because we're supposed to unify with martial arts, I really believe that. Like I have I rock my hashtag martial arts is life. Like, it to me, So looking back at that experience of a hazing, which caused this guy to freak out, because you know what? I'm one of the only guys who talks about it, how bad it is. How many other stories you think are out there that are negative, right?
Oh man, I share stuff every day of like negativity, people who are hazing, cult-like behavior. I mean, that's why I'm in the business. You know, I try to stop that kind of thing. And I do agree with you. It is a form of hazing, which is actually funny enough, the first time I've ever heard it be called that. But I agree. I think that it is a form of hazing. It's that type of behavior where you're just whipping people with your belt. Like, why? You know, well,
I mean, there's guys here in Wisconsin that when you're on your belt, they choke you unconscious. Like that's
what?
bad for you. You
Yeah.
know, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know,
I think the
again,
real test
I'm
is your
supposed to
ability to
give
say no to
people,
that shit. You
I'm
know?
supposed to give people healthy encouragement, not fear. You know what I mean. I just, and I trained in Japan where, like, I trained Kyokushin for a month at the Seidokai dojo, and the Japanese are no joke. They come by with the shinai, crack you with it. I mean,
Yeah.
but we're not in Japan. I mean, I've seen some crazy things in Thailand too that I don't agree with. I mean, I'm not a big fan of children fighting. It's just, and I don't want to. I love Thailand. I think it's awesome. I'm just not a fan. I couldn't see my 7-year-old daughter fighting in Thailand right now. But they have a saying in Thailand: "Young bones make strong bones." Because right now there's been some deaths in the recent years where they're trying to make the kids have to wear pads, and the boxing culture doesn't want to have it happen because they believe young bones make strong bones is the saying they have. But that being said, besides that, the culture at a Muay Thai camp is pretty cool. It's a family like environment, and I run my school a lot like a Thai camp where, you know, especially the fighters that move here, I almost adopt them because you don't choose to move to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the wonderful weather and the great environment. If you're coming out here, you're choosing to train. So I have expect all my fighters. I have a responsibility to their families to help them succeed. This is a very hard industry to succeed in, so I almost take them on as a family member. I'm very close with the Pettis brother's mom. I'm very close with a lot of the fighters' parents because I feel I got to look out for them. I'm always, you know, it's just important to have a family environment. I don't want to ever make this a business, because then it truly becomes a job, and I don't do the W word work. That is, I a lot of
Yeah, the W word is a 4-letter word I try to avoid as well. I think that what we're doing is the martial arts is just that. It's an art. And unfortunately, like most artists, you're not probably going to be respected until you're dead. And then after that, you're probably never going to be rich from it, but you get to do what you love. And so I respect that, being able to make the sacrifices. And I think we help people. That's just the truth. I think we genuinely help people. We help them with whatever their situations are. We help them find an outlet. We help them lose weight. We help them get friends. Sometimes they get a mentor like yourself who goes out of their way to treat them like family. Like there's so much more to this than just kicking people in the face. And I think that it's an amazing thing that even you as a top level MMA coach and a fighter yourself can realize that. And I hope more coaches can learn from this conversation and understand there's more to it than just can my guy beat your guy up, you know?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had a doctor. I think he's in his early 60s. He just won the IBJJF. Twin Cities. He won the silver, and I was just so proud of him. I mean, he's a great guy, and you know what? He contributes so much to the community at our school. He's a fun role when you train with him. He helps a lot of the guys medically. I mean, we have so many neat people who train. Actually, a really good friend of mine. He was a Rose Bowl captain for the Wisconsin Badgers, and he played in the NFL for 10 years. He actually just earned his blue belt. He won the world's at a white belt this year. He's
Nice.
addicted to jujitsu, and he's actually John Jones' brother's agent in the NFL, one of my childhood friends. But martial arts are awesome, and I have a stockbroker friend of mine. He's 52, and he's going to do his third fight in Thailand in January.
It's a hell of a stockbroker.
Oh, no. I mean, it's just, I love helping people, whether it's a small goal, big goal. I mean, when I can, I try and compete in jiu-jitsu when I can. I just got to find the time or stay healthy. That being said, I mean, it's just the empowerment of helping people enjoy their lives through martial arts. And I really focus with our athletes, keep the martial arts and mixed martial arts. Another neat guy on our team is Emmanuel Sanchez. He's fighting in the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix. The guy will kick someone's butt on a Saturday night, and by Monday he's back in the dojo teaching our kids jujitsu. He's a BJJ black belt, and he submits a lot of people in fights too. And he's always back teaching the kids jujitsu. I mean, Sergio, he grew up in our martial arts school. My coach Daniel Wanderley, his son's a 4-time world BJJ champion at age 17. January turns 18, and he's going to be starting his fight career. Same thing with the Barber family. Besides Macy, they have their brother Wyatt, who had his amateur debut, and I think he's turning pro soon. They grew up with their own school in Fort Collins, Colorado, and that we got to keep the martial arts and mixed martial arts. And I understand there's an entertainment in prize fighting, but for me, I'm very proud that our guys and women keep a very core-based martial arts. Because once you get rid of martial arts, you're really just a thug who fights for money. And I feel better about myself. That there's some honor, discipline. It's hard. Saturday, I coached against my good friend Dean Thomas. He was in Jillian's corner against Macy. Normally we're side by side. It was very awkward looking at him across the cage. I've coached against one of my top students, Jason Strout, who's a top coach out of New York, and I coached against my own brother when Anthony fought Benson Henderson the first time. I just try and not make it. I don't talk about it much in the media, just so people don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Like these are people that you respect, but then again, that particular industry is a business. And again, if you even break it down even more, if you want to make it kind of water down the situation, it's a game. It's a game that people are playing. And the only reason that makes it a game is because it has rules. There are rules. So it's a game, and there's a way to win and there's a way to lose. And, it'd be kind of like the equivalent of people getting pissed off at somebody for playing Monopoly and beating them. It's like, it's still a game. Now, of course, it's a more physical game, and there are a lot more respect and honor and integrity that goes into it. But at the same time, when it's over, it's over. It's done. The decision's the decision. Everybody can shake hands and move on if they have that integrity and honor to be able to do so. Hell, if you look at Miyamoto Musashi back in the day, he just used to go kill people. Literally would go from city to city to city and just challenge people in villages. Be like, I heard you're the best. Well, we should fight to the death. And then it would be cool. Like, all right, well, sometimes he would kill them. Most of the time he would kill them. Sometimes it would end in a maiming. But at the end of the day, it was done when it was done. That was it. There was no retaliations. There was no, oh, you beat up my friend, so now we fight. It was done. It was over. And I think that that's something that should be important and carried on. I do agree, keep the martial arts inside MMA.
That's one thing I applaud Nate Diaz. Unfortunately, Anthony didn't win the fight. He broke his foot in the first round and soldiered on through the whole fight with a valiant effort. But I got to tell you, Nate Diaz, he's really graduated to superstardom, not only with his fighting ability, the way he carried himself. He's really improved who he is. I mean, I've always been a fan of him. The guy can fight. At times he's been a little, raw. And I thought, man, before, during, and after the whole process of the fight, he was a martial artist and professional. And you're seeing more guys being that way. It's like everyone's figuring it out, especially us coaches. Every week we share buses, hotels, practice rooms, and locker rooms at the venue. The thought of me fighting another coach or managers fighting managers is complete stupidity. I mean, it's hard. I travel a lot and I miss my family. I miss my daughter, I miss my wife. They're really sweet. And, so my vibe on the road is I try and make everyone an extension of my family. So if I'm going to be there, I'm going to try and not be miserable, try and not be depressed. And I'm going to just make my martial arts family keep my vibe thrive while I'm on the road.
Well, that's an awesome way to put it. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here because we went over 30, but I appreciate so much your time. Thank you so much for the conversation. There was a lot of really, really, really good insight, not just for MMA coaching, but also just as a martial artist in general. There was a lot of things that you said that were just really well said. And thank you so much for your time. Just real quick, so we can wrap it up. Tell people where they can find out more about you, more about how to follow you, your program. Just go ahead and shout yourself out real fast.
Cool. The easy website, if you just ever want to check out our website for Academy, is MilwaukeeMMA.com or Roufusport, excuse me, ROUFUSPORT, one word.com. You can follow me. I'm a big Instagrammer. That's my favorite, is Coach Duke Roufus. And then as well on Facebook, Coach Duke Roufus. I share a lot of stuff. I'm really into, I don't like to put any negative vibes out there. I'm not a complainer or crybaby. So I think I'm a nice share. I share a lot of techniques when I can. As well, you can go to DukeRoufus.com if you ever want to check out my striking university. I share a lot of videos there too. I love sharing the knowledge. So many people. I'm so grateful. My father. I actually just had the coolest thing in my martial arts career happen to me. If you got a minute, I'll tell you this.
Oh, please. I have plenty of time. Yeah, man.
So a really good friend of mine, Brian Butler, he's one of my favorite guys in MMA. He manages a few of our fighters, but we're both almost the same age. He got a lot of the same interests. So he's one of my best friends on the road, and we talk weekly. He's just a really dear friend of mine. He put me together to start training Weili Zhang. She's the strawweight champion from China, and I've become good friends with her already through 2 short sessions. Just a sweetheart of a person, and she was having visa issues, so a politician stepped up and helped her. The politician is the Tulsi Gabbard. She's running
She's
for.
awesome.
Awesome. She's my new best friend. We've been texting every day. I got to meet her husband, her sister. They're all part of the support team. In fact, her husband does documentary work and is a videographer. Her sister, who is part of the U.S. Marshals, she's in law enforcement, but she's running, the travel and everything. These people are amazing, and I got to train her. She has a background in capoeira. I helped ads and trained her husband.
I saw that on Instagram.
And I have, like my friend Andrew Jenks, you just meet special people in life that you stay connected to. And, I can say these people are my friends, and I'm in my wildest dreams. I'm just, a Eurotrash kid from the west side of Milwaukee. In my wildest dream, I never dreamed I'd be rubbing elbows with the people I do, especially someone who's running for president.
Yeah.
She's just an amazing person, and I'm very grateful to martial arts. I try and express my gratitude constantly. If it wasn't for my parents, I mean, my dad, he's still alive. My mom passed a couple years ago, but I have 5 brothers and a sister that they raised. My father, he worked 3rd shift until I was 15 years old. My father, all the fighters joke why I'm so quiet when we travel, because we had to be quiet because my dad needed to sleep. But my father worked 3rd shift. I was 15 years old and ran our martial arts schools all day. Milwaukee is a tough town. It's in the top 10 worst cities in the FBI right now. So he was able to enabled me to get a better education, paid for private schooling for all of his children. So the true world champion of the Roufus family is Master Roufus. I mean, my dad, his father came from Greece, joined the Army, World War II to Vietnam, Silver Star, Purple Heart, Sergeant Major, badass. I'm so blessed. Even my dad has 5 brothers. All my uncles trained martial arts too. We're kind of a not as prolific the whole family, but we're a striking version of the Gracie family, if you will. And each and every one, my father, my grandfather, my uncles, my brothers, like, I wouldn't be here without them, because they all toughened me, encouraged me, and got me here where I'm at today. And I'm blessed for my family. Every day I'm like, wow, I still do this for a living. People are interested in what I do. It blows me away. The comments I get on social media, people want to take pictures. It's like, it's surreal. I still don't believe it's happening. It's wild.
Well, I mean, life is a culmination of all the things that have happened to you up to where you are, right? And it continues to be that all through your entire life, right? When I think that what you've done is amazing. I think that what you've built is incredible. Your family has done so, as you said. And just to add to the Tulsi Gabbard thing, I don't care what anyone else who will watch this now or who watch this later. I don't really care what your political affiliation is. You don't always have to agree with somebody 100% to like them as a human being. I mean,
For sure. That's what I'm talking about. A human being. That you are so right. And I'm sick of, whatever side you're on. Let's just keep politics to everyone's beliefs or have a civil conversation about it. We've become so divided. That's what the people who want to take advantage of you want. If we're divided as people, the wool's going to keep getting pulled over our eyes in so many different ways. Similar but different. Robert Whitaker was asked a few weeks ago. He did a great interview. They said, "What's your feeling on fighter pay and MMA?" He goes, "Well, I think we're underpaid." Well, how are we going to change that? A union? Well, he had the best answer. It's hard to have a union. It's hard to unite when we all hate each other.
Yeah, and the martial arts is very divided. Just still to this day, sport karate guys promote sport karate stuff, and jiu-jitsu guys promote jiu-jitsu stuff, and kung fu guys promote kung fu stuff, and they all think the other one sucks.
Yep.
And it's like it doesn't have to be that way. We all have something to learn from each other. Like I interviewed a white belt. And the reason I interviewed her was simply because of the job that she had was very fascinating to me. She was a sex therapist. And so I thought that was a very fascinating thing, is because this is a male dominant sport that she's getting into. And that is her job, which is kind of controversial as well. So I was wondering how she was treated, how she felt from a person just fresh into this, how her experience had been up to this point. And so many people ripped into her for just simply because she was a white belt. What does she know? How could she possibly understand? And I was like, well, there's a perspective there you don't see. We can learn something from everybody if we just take the time to listen instead of shutting them off. And that isn't with politics. That's with religion. That's with, even with conversations that might be uncomfortable to have. You can have conversations with these people and still learn something if you're open-minded enough to listen, or adult enough to have a conversation and not an argument.
For sure. I mean, I've been with my wife since 1996, married since '05. And that's what you learn the older you get, especially when you have kids. It's argument. It's their conversations, and it's important. It's especially once you have children, it really gives you perspective on arguments are worthless. I hate arguing. It's stupid. We have to come to a common ground, and sometimes you got to be the bigger person and give a little to get a little, and everything's a negotiation in life. Even you agree to disagree, but you live with that. I mean, and at the end of the day, I don't care who leads the government. We've got to respect our leaders, but let's try and make it better. How do we make it better? Not counting on, like the great John F. Kennedy said, not what my country can do for me. What can I do for my country? So what we do daily, let's be nicer to everyone. Like
I always thought that blaming politicians was a cop-out. Like the argument that I typically have with people who argue about politicians as much as people tend to do now is, what are all your neighbors' names? And then if they can't tell me all their neighbors' names, then they need to stop blaming the politicians. If you can't walk out your front door and be able to have a conversation with the people that you live around within arm's reach sometimes, then why are you blaming somebody else when you can't even control how nice you are to other people? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't even be respectful enough to go find out who the person across the street from you is, then how can you expect the world to be a better place when you're not helping change it in a better light?
Totally. Here in Milwaukee, we have Rafian Stotts, who just signed to Bellator. He's a two-time NCAA champion, two-time All-American. He grew up in the 3rd Ward of Houston, very tough area. We have the worst zip code in Milwaukee here, believe it or not, where we have the most incarcerated African American men. So Rafian went to that school in that zip code, talked to the youngsters about anti-bullying. But what we're trying to propose here in the city of Milwaukee is taking our MMA athletes, and we want to have a program to help inner city kids, because the tough thing, the parenting is so bad that they're not even encouraged right now to do team sports, any of the regular sports. We want to go in and, you know, save some lives with MMA. You know, that if their chance is to get out of the hood, becoming an MMA athlete, let's do this. Like, I've already done it for a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of my guys come from socioeconomic backgrounds. They're tough. The Pettises, their dad was killed on their block, so that tells you what their neighborhood's like. You know, same thing with Rafian Stotts. Tyron Woodley's from Ferguson. Emmanuel Sanchez came over the border from Mexico in an orange bag. You know, I mean, these are people I've a lot of immigrant and or, you know, people who have grown up, and especially Sergio. His nickname he's changed to SP. It's a double entendre when spreading positivity. Sergio wants to give back to the community where he came from. We're going to be doing more outreach. We got more scheduled speaking that we're looking to fundraise and create some non-for-profits within the next year. And we want to change more lives through MMA. You know, it's one thing I really like doing. We benefit at the high level of the sport, but, you know, what can we do every day? Like, I don't care whether you're for or against Trump. That has nothing to do with what goes on in society. That's all Capitol Hill BS, if you ask me. Just like you said, what are you doing from the inside out? It's like, what are you doing in your own community? You know, America can't get better if you don't make your town, your city, your neighborhood, the people in your circle better. You know, like, so many people worry about politicians, what's going on. What about worrying about, one, your family first, your friends, your customers, your people, your community? Like, that's how, like, I have the blinders on in my life. I focus on everyone I touch daily, and that, you know, let's, whether you're for or against someone, let's not divide. I'm sick of it. You know, it's so I go to these events and I try and be so cool with everyone. The only time I'm not cool with you is Sonny Barger, the Hells Angels famous leader, had a quote. I don't use the whole quote. If you treat His thing was, if you treat me good, I'll treat you better. Treat me bad, I'll treat you worse. The thing I do, if you treat me good, I'll treat you better. If you treat me bad, I just don't. You don't exist to me in my world. You know, if you're a toxic person, you're like cancer. I got to cut you out. With that being said, I mean, that's why I'm just trying to spread that vibe. Just because we're rivals doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Like, everything's comes down to, you know, you know, mob mentality, one side versus the other. You know, I don't want to argue over things. Sometimes we can't change, you know. The only thing I can change is how I interact with people every day and what I do, and really focused on that. I mean, that's how you last a long time in this. You know, I'm no spring chicken, so we have a motto at our gym: having fun getting it done. If it's not fun, I don't do it anymore. And I have the luxury to say that, you know, because here we do have a great academy. The reason why I love my wife for a lot of different reasons, but she's so down. She had my back. She lived at our gym in a warehouse when I had four guys from Thailand living with us. Like, we lived at our gym. That's how we were so poor we couldn't pay attention, you know. And it's like, you know, and it's so important, having been through all the struggles. I see so many people, they struggle, then when they finally get a little bit of taste of success, they forget about everyone else. I'm never going to forget everyone who, one, got me there, two, still gets me there, and three, I'm never going to forget the people who are down and out, and I want to help them get to where I'm at. You know, not only, and I'm not even talking financially, I'm talking happiness. You know, because to me, we don't make that much money in martial arts, but it's not about the money, it's about being happy. Happy is the ultimate wealth. You know, I see my daughter smiling. I like to see my wife laugh and smile, and my students that walk in and have, they know every day they walk in there, they're going to have the experience of their life. Because, man, it's crazy. You look at a great martial artist like Anthony Bourdain. You look at, you know, Chris Cornell. These people, depression is serious, man. You know, it's like, you don't know the next person you treat them like crap. You talk to them meanly. I really think about this more and more, like how fragile people are. And fragile isn't a bad word. Like, remember, there's people out there hurting in a different way that no one could ever imagine. I don't talk about it much, but my mother struggled with mental health issues, and it's just, when you have, my dad was an incredible, positive guy. My mom, you know, she definitely had depression, bipolar behavior, and you see people struggle with that. And, you know, now that my mom's gone, I've processed it completely different. That, I have such empathy for people who are in that situation. So, you know what? Be cooler, man. That's it. That's just a simple rule to live by. It's I love Bob Marley. I love Ziggy Marley, and in fact, I named my daughter Bob Marley's middle name, Nesta. And I just believe in that being Irie, that vibe every day. Like, there's that saying, words hurt more than any fist. I mean, it's the truth.
Mm.
People don't believe that. Oh, toughen up, but we're dealing with a very unique society. Social media is awesome, but it's also terrible. A
Mm.
lot of people are mean, spiteful, cyberbullying. And this whole Kardashian culture where people are doing surgeries, doing all these other procedures to make them look like someone else
Mm.
instead of being good, feeling good about themselves and their own skin. You know what I mean? So we have all these people between reality shows and social media. We're so comparative. No one actually likes himself anymore. And that's what I love about martial arts. We're
Mm.
teaching people to love themselves through whether it's a little extra stripe on your white belt or blue belt, just starting out, or whether it's a certificate that you earned rank, and or just your coach, your dojo, just saying, man, you had a great class today.
Mm.
Man, that's, because look, suicide rates are higher than they've ever been. It's crazy. It's crazy
Mm.
in the country that we live in. But again, how's that? Again, we talk about this. How's everybody living every day? Are they saying
Mm.
hi in your neighborhood? Are you being cool? You know what I mean? And that's the issue.
Yeah. Wherever we're done, I'll definitely send you a link to that Ron Clark. I think that you probably love that, especially with all the things that you were saying. Like, I think y'all are on the same page. A lot of really good stuff. And I think that whenever you do have charities or something coming up, whatever it may be, I think in this industry, one of the big things that I have is I have visibility. A lot of people see what I do. I probably have over 500,000 followers and stuff like that. And I try to help out as much as I can. So whenever you do have a charity or something coming up, send it to me. I'll make sure to get it out there. I'll make sure people are aware of it. So that way we can help out, so I think that's awesome.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. And I mean, that's, just trying to share positivity. It's so easy to find things to complain about, to find the negative. It's like my dad always told me, don't be bitter, be better. Don't be bitter, be better. And that's just something I live my life in. You just got to be tougher than the situation, deal with criticism and learn to move on. That's why I try and never be negative on social media, or, it's like you got to live it, you got to breathe it. It's like, because to me, you have your social diet. What you put in your head is what you're going to put out, and you know they're crops. Weeds grow really easy. Flowers, you got to nurture flowers. Well,
Mm.
weeds are like negativity. It's organic. It grows easy. It's like if you use so the weeds are like the dark side of the force in Star Wars, and then positivity is like the light side of the force. And it's much harder to be positive than it is negative. It's easy to be negative. It's very easy. It takes hard work. It takes discipline. It takes courage to be positive, even in the worst of situations, but that's what makes you strong.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for hopping in. Thank you for all of your insight. I really hope you're able to get some rolls in today. you know,
Uh, I shall, no worries. We have 4 classes a day. So if I don't get in this one, I'll get one a little later.
there you go.
It'll happen. Thank you so much. Again, everyone in the martial arts world, we got a huge platform. We're the influencers, people who leave our own schools, coaches, teachers, instructors, senseis, sabonims. we have the opportunity to change people's lives. Remember the power you have. Well, let's stay positive. Let's and you know what? We can always get better. That's the thing. I'm the my old coach, my old teacher sucks. I'm trying to get to a new height of touching people, not only just technically, but emotionally. I mean, the power of feeling of self-esteem. Most negative energy is happening today because people have low self-esteem.
Yeah,
And we,
it's tough. It's really, really tough. I was born with a cleft lip and palate, so I had to go through about 30 surgeries before I was the age of 16 years old. And it always did fascinate me because I think I was blessed with it. A lot of people think that it wasn't a blessing, but I really do think it is a blessing. And I'm not really a super religious person. I'm actually a little closer to agnostic than anything else because I question everything. But, like when it comes to like that, we talked earlier about what you think destiny is, or some things just feel like they're destined to be. And I think that that was destined to be. I think it was a beautiful thing that happened to me because it allowed me to see things without that sight of vanity. I didn't have that opportunity of going, oh, well, I can look in the mirror and not see scars all over my face. Other people are going to see the same. But what I found is over time is that whatever I perceived myself as is what other people started to perceive me as. So it wasn't the fact that how you look, it's how you carry yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. Other people will start to feel that. And even if you don't say it outwardly, they feel it. And it's a strange thing. It's very magical, I think. But I think that, again, when you were talking about all these people who were going out of their way to have these surgeries to be people that they're not, it's like, I think that they're missing the point of what all of that is trying to cover up. What's happening is it's not necessarily that they want to look like somebody else. They want to feel differently. And they feel like if they can get this surgery, if they can hack this thing off, if they can add this thing to themselves, that it'll make them feel better. And I'm not saying in some cases it doesn't do so, because in some cases it does do that, depending on what the issues may be. But is it necessary to make you feel different? No, that's up to you in here. You have to be able to physically do that in your head and then feel good about yourself in order to project that out into other people,
for sure, I agree with you. And when I'm saying surgeries, I'm talking like the big fake butts.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I wasn't talking about minor stuff like a boob job.
No,
I'm talking about like having your entire face reconstructed and having like, you know what, I don't like this penis anymore. Let's cut that off. You know what, I hate that. Let's cut that. It's a little extreme to me. It's a little extreme.
No, I tell you that's what I work on. My other thing I'm going to close with here at Rufusport, we have a huge women's population. I'm so proud of that too, because I create equality in the vibe too. I mean, but I only have one child. She's a daughter, so my whole environment in my school is set up for my daughter to be educated here someday. The environment I want my child in is the school I've built. So that's my biggest accomplishment out of the vibe at Rufusport. It's just when I'm having a bad day, and we all have bad days. When I walk in there, the place changes me, and again, talking about the power we have as fellow martial artists, we make our place, the clubhouse, the church, the lodge. That's what the martial arts school's becoming. A lot of people are closer at my gym with their fellow members than they are their own families, sadly. So we are a quasi tribe or family, and and I'm glad to go out there and expose fake people who hurt us as a community. People who do negative things that hurt our community. Because we're a quirky bunch, us martial arts people, but I think we're some of the most lovable people around.
I agree. And, I cannot stand when there's a fraud, fake, or a phony, somebody who's financially ripping people off or molesting kids or beating up students for no reason. Like that makes us all look bad. And that's not what this is all about,
I just watched a really disturbing movie on the way home Saturday from my seminar at Sityodtong. That new movie, Self-Defense, on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's too much truth to that. Someone who did that movie, just like Foot Fist Way.
I actually interviewed the guy who wrote it. I interviewed him. Yeah, it's Foot Fist Way is actually really close to home too.
Yeah.
if anybody's ever lived in the martial arts world and you watch Foot Phil Sway or The Art of Self-Defense, you will definitely see some parallels to reality. But that guy actually trains. I think he's a purple belt or a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, yeah, the guy's name's Riley Stern. He wrote and directed it, and it's definitely like really close. It's like that culty kind of stuff that I try to call out is exactly what that movie's about, like a cult, basically.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, it is very weird, you know, for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah, I like the bit at the end. The very end of that movie is, to me, is a hilarious bit, basically like showing the BS. I think it was really well written, really well done.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it was dark, man.
oh, very dark.
Good.
It's the first half of the movie. It isn't as dark. It's kind of campy and goofy, and then all of a sudden, it takes a real hard right turn out of nowhere. It's like, oh, well, that was weird. Didn't see that coming.
Get back into line, orange belt.
Great. Well, anyway, wrapping it up here real fast. Thank you so much, Duke Roufus, for being on. I appreciate that. Thank you to the sponsors, Kill Cliff. Thank you, FightBackCBD. Thank you, Gold BJJ. All of you guys are amazing. And you know what? Just because for giggles, they're awesome people. I'd like to thank Immortal Coffee, like the Matt Brown. Is the gentleman who runs that coffee, and I think it was pretty awesome of them to send me some, and just for giggles, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. And
are they organic?
I have no clue, man. I know they're delicious.
Awesome, that is great. I like Matt Brown. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, dude, I like it. I like it a lot, and they have different flavors and stuff. And I also have to thank Hans Molenkamp. And anybody out there who doesn't know Hans Molenkamp, he's actually the gentleman who kind of I guess you could say he's the gentleman that helped Monster Energy become sponsors, help get sponsorships to fighters. And he kind of runs that particular division for Monster Energy. But I think he also developed Triumph United as his brand. And he sent me some stuff. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. That was really cool of you. I highly doubt that anybody is listening all the way to the very end of this based off of my analytics. But you know what? Thank you guys anyway. I appreciate that. And thank you so much, Duke, for hopping on. You have a fantastic day.
Peace. Thanks. Appreciate